Good morning everyone. In this video, we discuss about the final phase of DMAC methodology, that is control phase. In define phase, you have defined the problem. In measure phase, you have measured that problem. In analysis phase, you have analyzed that problem. Finally, you have improved that process. After improving the process, if you leave like that only, what will happen? After some time, this improved process will go back to its older state. It has been seen that if no controls established, there is a very possibility that old practices will slowly come back and all the good work what you have done till now will be lost. For example, if you purchase a mobile phone, if you do not maintain properly, what will happen? Over a period of time, the performance of your mobile will be lost, right? Similarly, if the new system and procedures are not maintained, it will also lose its performances. The importance of control phase is to create a set of systems which are robust and maintain the process in place. In this control phase, the involvement of all the employees should be understand the new system and resolve the critical issues for the successful of project. Without the cooperation of all those involved in the process, it is not possible to maintain the new system in place. That is control phase here. Next, some major areas to be included in this control phase. The first major area is the planning section. Before starting anything, first thing is to plan. Then this plan should be documented. After documentation, you will start to control the process. Then, if it is controlled or not, you will review the process. These are the major areas involved in control phase. The first step in the control phase is planning. There are several areas which are to be planned first. In that, the first one is training plan. In measure phase only, you have trained some employees in the organization. Though some employees are given initial training, it is necessary to extend the training in phased manner to all the employees in the organization. Training has to be imparted using the team members who are responsible for bringing the Six Sigma process change. The next question is how you should train the employees. In this, you can train the team whichever the way is appropriate to get all the employees to understand the changes required physically and mentally. For example, by showing the figures and chart, you can train them, or by showing the revised process maps, that is detailed process map, what you have revised, you can show it and train them, and by giving some presentations, you can train them. These are some examples how to train the employees. But before commencing the training, the employees must be motivated by explaining the advantages of Six Sigma. Because any employees, for any change, they are feared to change the processes. So, as a team leader or member, you should give the advantages of Six Sigma and how the process change works. Next, the changing the mindset of the employees is vital before during the training session. It is worth considering that some employees who are already trained in this process are invited to be a part of training scheme. Training plan should include the data. Some of the data. These data are, first one, category of the employees. For which area this employee belongs to. You should check it first. Next, the number of employees. Okay, that you should give training for 10 members, 20 members, 30 members. Okay, you should plan that. Next is the type of training. Which type of training should be given for the employees? Next, what should be the syllabus for this training? Next, what should be the duration? When you should start and when you should end it. Next, who are the trainer responsible for these training sessions? And finally, the location where we should give the training. All this should be planned first. Next is documentation plan, the second one. Before commencing the preparation of documents required due to the new process, because you have changed the process, all the documents should be changed now. It is necessary to identify the existing documents which are to be deleted, which are to be revised and replaced with the new documents. You should check first which should be removed, which should be taken as a new document. Next, what is the status of present documents? Okay, already the older documents are available now. What is that status? You should tell that. So first you should list all the existing documents currently available and verify whether they are being currently used or not. In many cases, it may be seen that some of the documents are not being used and it is better to remove such documents from the work area. You should not throw it away. From the work area, you should remove it, but keep them in the archives for future references. In many organizations, the documents are not updated regularly. So, in this control phase, it is the best time to do the documentation work. Next, these documents, how this document should be prepared. For the preparation of documents, the first thing is you should name the document. That means you should tell the name of the document. Second one, which category it belongs to. Either in the manufacturing section, raw material section, quality section, which category does it belongs? You should write it down. Next, whether this document is required or not in the workplace. Next, which type of document? Either this is an updated document or revised document or new document, you should specify. Next, schedule. Schedule means in which is the starting and ending date of this document, you should write it down. Next, estimated hours. How much hours it takes to document this. Finally, who is the responsible person of this document? You should specify that. And finally, you should control that document. This is to be done for documentation purpose. And next is process control plan. During the improve phase, a revised process is introduced by a Six Sigma project team, and it is necessary to know whether the new process is producing the desired result and the process is controlled and meeting the customer specification. This control involves controlling the specification of both input and output. Prior to introducing new controls, it is necessary to satisfy the existing controls. Whether the same are useful with a new process, you should check here. Next, you can ask the question, how do you presently control? So, as in the case of documentation, it is necessary to plan the controls. How you can plan the controls? First thing is in which area you want to control. Either it is in raw material section, manufacturing section, quality section, any area. In which area you should control the plan. You should list it. Next, you should give the number to the control document. Next, whether this is required or not, you should specify. Next, this document, the control document, is either updated, revised or new document, you should specify. Next, the schedule from when you started and when you will end, you should specify. Next, the department and estimated hours. Department means in which department it belongs to, either quality department or inventory department, which area it is. Then estimated hours, how many hours it takes to document, you should specify. Finally, the person who is responsible for all this, the name you should specify. This is the process control plan. The next is monitoring system plan. In this monitoring and system plan, in addition to the control discussed in the previous plans, it is necessary to have control on another monitoring system. That is, the control system is, you should specify vendor rating system. After in the tools we will discuss what is this vendor rating system. And vendor selection, who should be the vendor. Next, customer complaints. What are the customer complaints? Customer satisfy survey, customer returns, downtime analysis, shop floor rejections. All this to be listed in monitoring system plan. The list is not exhaustive and it is for each organization to identify various monitoring system in place and plan for all of them. Some of the monitoring system includes, the first question you should ask, what needs to be monitored? The next question, who will be the responsible? The person who is responsible in a Six Sigma team. Now, how the data will be maintained? What is the time frame? When you will start and when you will end. So, you should ask all these questions. And this monitoring system are available in most of the organization, but mostly they are not reviewed at a regular intervals or with a predetermined schedule. Only when there is a crisis, everyone in the organization start looking at the previous data. It is right time to plan and set a monitoring system right. Next one is preventive maintenance plan. Planning the preventive maintenance of the tools, gauges, equipment and machinery is a vital part for success of any project. For example, if you buy a new bike, what you will do? Every day you will start to clean and every week you will go for washing and all the other things you will do. And after some time, you lose the interest and do not maintain the new bike. What will happen? It will lessen its performance. Similarly, in industries also, if you buy a new equipment, okay, everyone in the organization are very keen to maintain the equipment. But after some time, they will lose their interest and do not maintain the equipment. This preventive measure plan has to given a top priority and monitored regularly. The PM plan covers the following things. First one, type of equipments, gauges, tools and machineries. Second one, the preventive measures process to be followed. Third one, spares planning. Fourth one, calibration plan. And responsibility of preventive measures. Next, frequency. How frequently you should check the equipment. Next, records to be maintained and review the processes. This may look very simple for you, but the planning all the activities and making sure that these are implemented is a big task. Non-compliance of the preventive maintenance function will end up in a failure of the project. The plan must clearly indicate the date by which the task should be completed and by whom. The improved process will be sustained only if the preventive maintenance plan is fully implemented. And last one, you have review plan. Whenever or whatever is planned, there must be a policy to the plan if the plans are not reviewed at regular intervals. The employees responsible for the work are sure to become lethargic, and after some time they do not carry out whether and originally planned things. There has to be reviews at various levels of the organization to make sure that the improved process delivers high quality output at all the time. There must be a clear plan schedule regarding the reviews. This review plan includes, first one, planning. Planning in the sense, preventive measure plan for any area or operations. You should give a document number, planned review date, that is what the plan, when you should want to review that, and actual date when you have reviewed that, and reviewed by who is the person responsible for reviewing these things, what the corrective action you have taken, for this corrective action who is the person responsible. All these things will be reviewed. This review should also include response plan. Any review without a response plan is of no use. Reviews to be carried out different level of the organization at planned intervals. The second area in control phase is documentation. When the process is changed, it remains in the memory of some people and after some time it fades away. Every details of the process change is the first one to be documented. By documenting all the details of revised processes, all future users will able to use these documents and work upon it. In case of any deviation from the process, it is easier to identify and correct the process based on the proven processes. So, some of the documents to be given on the priority. In that, the first one is revised process map. The Six Sigma team has to review the process map prepared prior to the commencement of the measure phase and revise the same in the line with the new processes. As the first step, the team has to prepare a revised SIPOC. SIPOC is supply, input, process, output and customer. This SIPOC diagram is also known as a bird's eye view of the revised processes which help while preparing the detailed process maps. The process map help in understanding the process quickly and help in training the users. The revised process map may not be a single process, but many contain multiple detailed process maps. The revised process maps are to be made by the process owners and not by any outside agencies. When the process owner prepares the detailed process map, he would be fully committed to follow the process map and also make sure that the changes are made in the process without the process owner's knowledge. In the process owner, it is not involved during the process of making the revised process map. There will be no commitment to follow the process map. Revised process map indicates exactly the way the revised has been planned. If there is any gap, it is better to clarify them immediately instead of leaving the process map as it is. These process maps are to be kept at a convenient place close to the equipment so that employees working in that area do not waste their time in searching for them. This revised process map are to be updated as and when agreed amendment is made in the processes. This is about the revised process map. And the second one is standard operating procedure, SOP. This standard operating procedure is a step-by-step instruction to carry out the entire process. This is very descriptive and gives clear instruction to the operator what needs to be done, what precaution is to taken, what data to record and how to report in case of any problem. This SOP is a very important document and has to be prepared great care and updated as soon as there is any change in the process. The best way to test a new SOP is to allow an operator to do the job just by following the SOP. In case of operator is unable to carry the operation, it means that SOP needs some clarity. As explained earlier, SOP has to be prepared by the process owner at an initial stage of project implementation. If not, there are chances that actual practice will be totally different from what has been given in SOP. These details to be filled and in SOP are, first one is the operation number. For operation, you will give some numbers 1, 2, 3. Next, what is the operation they are carrying out? If there is any jigs and fixtures and special gauges, you should specify that. Then the special cutting tools which are involved in the operation, you should specify. Next, batch quantity. How much batch you are producing? What is the setup time? What is the operation time? Each and everything should be specified in this standard operating procedure. And next one, third one is quality control procedure, QCP. This QCP for all the quality control processes, it is necessary to be documented. It is a good idea to prepare process maps for all the quality control measures which take place outside of the main process. The processes followed for quality control are as important as the main process, and well documented procedure help in improving the processes. The process maps and QCP are prepared for vendor selection. Who should be the vendor? You should give the rating, vendor rating. Who is the best vendor? Next, incoming material quality. You should check the incoming material quality. Next, process control. Product accepting testing. And lastly, laboratory testing. All the procedures vary depending upon the type of organization, and it is important as a first step to decide how clearly to write QCP. In the case of SOP, the QCP distribution and updating are to be maintained. This is about quality control procedures. Next is TPM, Total Predictive Maintenance Procedures. The success of any project depends on the performance of machines, equipment and gauges. This TPM, total productive maintenance procedure, has to be prepared for all the machineries and equipments. This procedure describes the preventive measures process to be followed in detail. The procedure has to be included the schedule of maintenance, 100% replacement of spares to be maintained and skill level of operator. The TPM procedures or control documents are to be monitored on a regular basis. In this, you have improving equipment conditions. The first element in equipment condition typically requires two activities. The first one is the activity involves ensuring the equipment in a clean and free of minor defects that can be detected by the operator. And second one, the activity involves the creation of standards to maintain these defects from free conditions. These standards to be established by operators themselves and focus only on the aspects of equipment that they directly influence. And second one is to create a basic maintenance plan. The second element of TPM plan typically includes three requirements. First one is preventive maintenance document. During the control phase, it is necessary to prevent a preventive measure document that shows the machinery and gauges and PM document number required. This is required or not. Either it is updated, reviewed and new document, the schedule and estimated hour and all the persons who are responsible for this. And second one, detecting special defects. Unlike the first element, which seeks to detect defects without the use of specialized equipment, the third element uses technology to detect gradual equipment deterioration. In other words, defects must be spotted using more than the human eye. And last one, management review response procedure. In this, management review of various output parameters, corrective action and completion of corrective action are to be clearly documented in management review plan. The management review plan will be done at different levels of management and at various frequency. Here, the document plan will be prepared by a Six Sigma team in consultation with a champion. In this, they required the document to be reviewed, and at the first level, who will be the person involved in it and at what date they will carry it out. Similarly, for the second level, who is the person responsible and date. Next is the corrective actions, proposed action, responsibility given and date of completion. Here the team member should specify all these things. And you should show to the champion and get an approval from the champion. And last one is standards. Here a standard represents the ideal against which something can be judged. It is established model of excellence. If multiple standards are followed, then excellence would wane. Work that is standardized is repeatable, meeting the quality, productivity and cost of standard consistently. When cycle time are standardized, the production team could tell the glance if they are ahead or behind the schedule. The organization experts is preserved with the standards, and standards enable new employees to quickly learn their jobs. Standards provides a foundation on which to improve, and this standardized data helps as benchmark to achieve target and also helps to review the performance against the standards. If anything you want to standardize, the standardized work is based on the three factors. First one is talk time. This talk time indicates a production of team, how frequently it must produce a product to meet the customer demand. This takt means in German word pace, and it represents pace at which the customer requires the product. It is the actual time it takes to produce a product, with the goal being to synchronize takt time and cycle time. And the next one, and the formula used for takt time is daily operating time divided by required quantity per day. As the standardization factor, takt time helps the production team in meeting the customer needs in a timely manner. And the second factor is work sequence. The second standardization element defines the order in which the work should perform on the products or parts in a process. For example, on an assembly line, the worker might first have to pick up a bolt, then tighten the screw and enhance it in a sheet of plastic. Clearly defined work sequence helps to ensure a task performed in a way every time. These process maps are often used to define the sequence. When the work sequence is clearly defined and standardized, the incidence of process related defects decreases. And third factor is work in process, that is WIP. The third standardization elements refers to the material, parts or products that are in the work in process. As a standardization tool, work in process enables the employees to know exactly how many parts are being worked on the process at a given time. The work in process, the number of items being produced and added is always the same at the same point in the process. Regardless of the work in process, after planning the controls and preparing the documentation, the next area in control phase is process control. In this process control area, it is to be decided how the control will be put in place. Here, the statistical process control is to be introduced as a part of process control. Online process controls are to be implemented with the use of SPC systems. The important feature of this control is for the operator to visually see the changes in quality levels and take immediate corrective actions. These controls are very simple and can be adopted easily. As a first step of the process control, it is necessary to calculate the process capability of the revised process. In the measure phase, you have calculated the process capability. Here, some of the process will be revised. So, you should calculate the process capability of the revised process. Since the process capability is calculated prior to the implementation of Six Sigma improvement process, it is possible to compare the changes in the process capability after the process improvement. When the process spread is well within the customer specification, you all know that the CP value will be more than 2. If it is less than 2, it would necessary to restudy the process. This process capability directly indicates the Six Sigma capability of the process. Once it is found that the process is fully capable, other controls are put in place. Some control tools used here are, first one, the control charts. These control charts are selected based on the type of parameters to be controlled with the specific type of data, that is either variable data or attribute data. These process controls are responsible of process owner and responsibility is not to be deleted to any other agencies. When the process are well under control, the output quality will be well within the customer requirement. For example, if there was a inbuilt quality process, the run chart is used to constantly monitor to see whether the process is fully under control. And next one is visual control. Here in this visual control, the information such as workplace guidelines is typically conveyed via resources that take time to read and understand. Whereas the visual control employs such a visual tools such as a sign and charts whose meaning is immediately apparent. In short, visual control saves the organizational time and money. Next, the employee safety is also enhanced due to this visual aids. This visual controls is set of tools that allows for simple and obvious information conveyance. It is the key to the Six Sigma methodology using large visual aids to implement or impose disciplines on the methodology. Here, there are some of the key elements in this visual control. In this first one, visual workplace guides. This visual workplace guides provides the employees with a obvious guidance regarding such thing as in-factory direction and location of hazardous areas, and this visual workplace guide includes signs, the painted floor markings, safety warnings, color-coded labels and directional markers. And next one is visual information system. This visual information system provides employees with a simple and abbreviated documents and how to perform the processes and procedures. Here they will use charts and diagrams are commonly used to convey such informations. And third key element of this visual control is visual performance control tool. This visual performance control tool provides employees with obvious information on the status of process control. Important setting parameters, tool storage area, etc. are displayed here. The status board indicating production quantity, rejections, reworks and quality control charts and check sheets are used for regular monitoring. The factory floor where the information needs to be understood at a glance is an especially a good application for visual control tools. This is about the second step in process control or second control tool in process control. And third one is a control plan. The objective of the implementing this Six Sigma process is to ensure that the critical requirement of the customers are fully and consistently made. For this purpose, the control plans are created by establishing the scope, customer requirement and indicators in step 1. Then in step 2, the detailed specification and criteria that will meet the critical of customer, the control plan, keeping requirements are determined here. In the third step, the control plan is actually created and evaluated. The step 3 is when the rest of elements are defined, which will form part in the mind that each control plan will have its own specific needs. These elements of these control plans, some of the elements which are used for these control plans are, first you will write the title of the control plan, what it is, and you will give some reference number for that, and the team members who are involved in creating this control plan, and the process owner, the page number, original date, revision date, process customer and process description. All these things will be planned in process control plan. Next, some other elements also included in this control plan. More specific control plan indicators that will be monitored here. The first one is critical customer requirement, outcome indicators, process steps, some process specifications, process capabilities, and measurement systems. These methods, procedures, and responsibilities for actual monitoring and maintaining controls are documented here. In the organization, the projects and the customer involved, for some process, additional documents and images may be needed, either embedded in a main table or control plan or to be attached to it. The transfer of responsibility. See, after the completion, a control plan is handed off to the process owner for monitoring and execution. But the process owner is an organizational position, and as such the person fulfilling the role will change from time to time. Even if the owner, who is often the department or operation manager, remains the same, other project may demand their attention. These conflicting priorities can easily lead to neglected or poorly executed control plans. After the control plan is complete, the transfer of responsibility for a control from the Six Sigma team to the process owners reveals the several actions that they should not ignore. Now in that, the first one, integrating the control plan, securing understanding and agreement, establishing the documentation process, updating work instruction with a clear direction. All these things should be specified. This control plan must contain all the specific information needed to keep the process in control. Next is some type of control plans. In Six Sigma practice, collecting data provides the information needed to solve the problems. But the true value is in the retention and application that knowledge to sustain the gains that have been made through the process improvement. Here, the basic process control plan contains three elements. The first one is process description. This process description identifies and describes the process or component of the process that the control plan represents. It has four important areas. First one is the process name, process owner, requirements, and the customer. These four things should be known for process description. And second one, a graphic element. This includes a control charts and flow charts. These control charts are graphical representation of process at a point in time. They plot quality characteristics versus samples or a timeline. These flow charts are graphical representations that illustrate the sequence of steps needed to complete a process. They use symbols to illustrate the inputs, outputs, and relation between each step in the processes. And third one is control methods. In these control methods are instruction for the action to be taken if problem occur or appear imminent. This is particularly important where control charts are being used specially for process control. Control methods include a key process indicators and responsibilities of Six Sigma team. Here some of the common elements of control plans are: first one, the date, revision date and time. This is important for version control of the control plan. Next, the process step. When a control plan covers the process step rather than completing the process, this identifies which step the plan covers. Next, inspection method. In inspection method means it is used to inspect the process and the level of inspection. Next, frequency. This specify how often the process control takes place. Next, control methods. This specify the form and manner in which evidence of the process control is recorded. Performance measurement. This is the standard against which the success of the process control is measured. Machine tool or devices. This notes equipment used to perform the particular process. Next, operator, the person who are involved in the process. Sampling information. This specify the method, frequency and rationale for taking measurements. These control plans are maintained and used throughout the process life cycles. Early on, their primary purpose is to document and communicate the plan for process control. Later, they act as a guide for how to control the process and ensure the product quality. These control plans cover three distinct phases and a process. First one is a prototype control plan. This is used in the early development stage and deals mainly with defining the output and configuring the process. The control plans for this stage contain drawings and specification, material requirements, measurement, sampling methods, and material and performance tests. Second one, pre-launch control plan, which deals with the phase when the process is tested and refined Six Sigma team members test different methods of control and take samples with increased frequency and size until they have confidence in stability of the process. Next, production control plan. It is a comprehensive documentation of process characteristics, test control graphic elements and measurement systems. Because of this process considered to be stable and capable, in this phase sample size are reduced and frequency of inspection testing diminished. The focus is on managing the process. Control plans are one of the most important tools in Six Sigma. Control plans improve quality by documenting and identifying variation in the product and the process. They specify customer expectations by focusing resources on customer requirements, and they improve communication by clearing, outlining methods, actions, responsibilities and expected outcomes. A control plan is a summary of the control phase of the Six Sigma DMAC methodology, and it is instituted to monitor the process and assure its performance. These control plans are an important part of sustaining and maintaining quality improvements. And the next tool is Poka-yoke. This Poka-yoke is one of the several control concepts where the solution is not dynamic, as is the case with closed loop feedback control systems. Poka-yoke is the use of experience, wisdom, and to improve opportunity for errors. The methodology involves complete understanding of the cause and effect relationship and indications of simple remedy that can be applied to eliminate the particular error in the future. Sometimes this involves adding a simple feature, changing the sequence of an operations, programming a software that reminds the operator anything to help to totally eliminate or substantially reduce mistakes. Poka-yoke is a very consistent with the fundamental aims and philosophy of Six Sigma and widely applied in manufacturing, engineering and transactional processes. It involves action designed to eliminate errors, mistakes or defects in activities and processes. By this method, it is ensured that the user is able to do it in the right way. Often POCA focus on error produced by humans, whether it is a machine operator, the person filling out the forms, someone packing materials, and so forth. While this source of error can be large, it is also possible to apply mistake proofing methodology in many other aspects of our businesses. The emphasis is to put on modifying processes so that those mistakes are impossible to make instead of blaming employees for making mistakes. That is about POCA. Next, Jidoka. Full Jidoka is the state of being, like the state of being in control. But first, basic Jidoka must be explained. The relation between the worker and the machine is different in both levels. Full Jidoka is achieved when POCA is added to either level. In that first one, machinization. This involves leaving part of machine's manual operation to an employee. With the machinization, the machine and employee share the work. Next one, automation. This automation involves replacing all manual labor with a machine. At this point, all the workers has to do to perform an aspect of his job is basically flip a switch. Automating a process make it more time efficient than does the process machinization. That is about Jidoka. And last one is gauge control. This gauge control also form part of the process control, and it is necessary to establish standards to be followed. Frequency of calibration and methods of review are established here. Introduce system for recording the date of calibration and next planned date of calibration. Establish a measurement system and document the steps to be followed during this process. This is the third area of the control phase, that is process control. And the last area of the control phase is system review. In this system review, here they are having to decide the control required to establish to maintain the Six Sigma process performance. It is necessary to identify the organizational system which need changes to bring in line with the revised processes. Assuming the controls are in place, but the associated systems are not made in line with the process change, there will be a considerable confusion in the organization. The system are driving force to sustain the changes and need strictly to implement it and follow. The system related to the following need changes depending upon the process change carried out. Here, first one in this, the input material informations, changed process and controls, the product and services, customer feedback, continuous improvements. All this comes under the system reviews. Next, some deliverables of this control phase. The major difference between the earlier improvement projects and Six Sigma improvement methodology is that deliverables at each stage of the project is clearly defined for each phases. For this control phase, some of the deliverables are training plan, documentation plan, control plan, monitoring system plan, preventive maintenance plan, review plan, final report, cost savings and lesson learned. All these are deliverables of this control phase. And next is the checklist. To prepare the checklist of the control phase. Here, the checklist help in making sure that all activities related to the phase have been fully completed or not. The team leader should verify with the use of the checklist as given and certify to the champion that all activities related to the control phase are fully completed. The process owner should recheck the checklist and accept all the documentation provided by the project team by signing the project completion report here.